Because these are the words of Hakeem Robinson. Killing, then go get my toes done.
They are not going to present you one piece of reliable, direct evidence that definitively proves that Hakeem Robinson is a shooter.
There will be no question whatsoever. Leroy Whitaker did not pull that trigger.
What up, gang? I'm back with another video. I say I'm back with another video. Make sure you hit that like button, comment, subscribe. Yes, I said subscribe. Turn on your post notifications. It's free. Do it for me. This your boy Music 101, the Street Reporter, and I'm back with another video. Let's get into it. Jacksonville rapper Hakeem Robinson, 26, known as Ksoo, and Leroy Whitaker Jr., 24, known as ATK Scotty, are accused of killing Charles McCormick, 23. Robinson and Whitaker are being tried at the same time, but with two separate juries. The victim, Charles McCormick, was also a rapper who performed under the name Lil Buck. Lil Buck was shot and killed in Dames Point Plaza on Morrell Road on January 15, 2020. An off-duty cop witnessed the shooting. He saw a gunman stand over McCormick and shoot him with an assault rifle before fleeing in a Nissan Altima.
The search is on for the two people who shot and killed this man in Arlington. This is a new picture of Charles McCormick Jr. given to Action News Jax by his family. They say he was supposed to be starting a new job yesterday when he was killed. We first showed you this surveillance video of the suspects running through a backyard last night at 5. This happened after they crashed a stolen getaway car. Those men later got away after keeping a woman hostage inside her home for more than an hour. I'm John Bachman.
I'm Tanika Hughes. Action News Jax Elizabeth Pace has been on this story since she first found the woman who was held captive. Elizabeth is live in Arlington, and that woman told you that she's now worried the guys might come back for her.
She's doing much better today and hopeful that police might be close to answers, but now the adrenaline has worn off and she's sore and just anxious that these guys might come back. This is a little bit of what they left over. This is where they crashed. That stolen car looks like part of the plastic bumper here, and then over here we see part of the headlight. Now, although this still sits here on the sidewalk and is a reminder of what happened yesterday, she says she's not going to let them run her out of her own home. It all started at this store in Arlington, Express Employment Professionals. Police say someone shot up the store Wednesday morning, killing a young man. Today I learned that man was an up-and-coming music artist, 23-year-old Charles McCormick Jr. These are new pictures of him given to us by his family. They didn't want to go on camera, but told me they're crushed by his loss. He was supposed to be starting a new job that day. Before the suspects could get too far, they crashed their stolen getaway car about 2 miles on Townsend Boulevard. Neighbors gave me this home surveillance video that shows them running through yards and hopping a fence to get away from police. Then they chose a random woman's home to hide and change clothes.
Okay, so what happened? You just saw them all of a sudden?
They were in my house. I came out of the bathroom and they were in my house.
We were getting video of the crashed car when I heard screams for help. She told me the two suspects just left her home after holding her hostage for an hour and a half. I helped her over to police and have checked in with her a few times since then. She says she's sore after trying to fight them off, but refuses to let them win.
She's resilient. Never again, you never think anything like that's going to happen to you, and especially her.
Kim was the first friend to find her. She also lives nearby.
We've been putting it through our heads, all the different scenarios that could have happened, and we're just so thankful that she's alive. It could have went so many different ways.
Day one of the trial began today. An open statement started off with the state trying to convince the jury that the evidence they will see should prove Ksoo and ATK Scotty is guilty.
For justice's sake, thankfully, the murder of Charles McCormick was captured on video. Thankfully, these two co-defendants in particular left a trail of overwhelming and inescapable evidence in their violent, chaotic form imaginable. You're going to see evidence, you're going to hear evidence directly related to the motive in this case, because it was a personal motive, and we'll talk about that in a moment. You're going to see the video of the murder, and that video is a powerful piece of evidence, because not only does it capture the murder, it also captures the vehicle that was used by Dominic Barner, Hakeem Robinson, and Leroy Whitaker when they committed this crime. A stolen Nissan Altima. And you'll see that vehicle on video. And there will be no doubt that that vehicle was occupied by the people who committed this crime. And that vehicle was collected, well, evidence inside it was collected immediately after this crime, immediately after they fled from committing the murder from the police. When that car crashed, and inside it, amongst the items that were collected, DNA evidence. DNA evidence for Leroy Whitaker and Hakeem Robinson. Fingerprint evidence for Hakeem Robinson. DNA fingerprints forever tethering them to that car, to their crimes. You will also see on that video of the murder exactly what the shooter was wearing. And I want you to pay particular attention to it, because this is a video, not a still photograph. You'll get to see the whole thing. And you will see that the shooter was wearing a two-tone hoodie, gray chest, dark black arms, black hoodie pulled up over his head. And I want you to take note of that, because you will see that same hoodie in photographs and videos wrapped around Hakeem Robinson's guilty body. You will see the distinct firearm that he carried when he committed that murder, when he pulled the trigger. And you will see that same firearm in another video in Hakeem Robinson's hands. Not for entertainment. He used it for murder on January 15, 2020. You also will be presented with call records showing communication amongst these co-defendants and cell site location information, placing Leroy Whitaker, placing Hakeem Robinson where they should not have been, placing them where they guilty. You will see social media posts in addition to the nail salon video that we've already talked about. Another video posted to Hakeem Robinson's Instagram account just a couple days after the murder. A video of Charles McCormick rapping a song. But when you get to Charles McCormick in the video and you see his face, what's that? And emojis with the text, bye-bye. And then that's followed up by the nail salon video that we've discussed, where he needed to get his toes done. But I want you to remember, because there is going to be so much evidence in this case against both defendants, and so many different types of evidence, that it's much like a puzzle. While they're powerful on their own, independently, when you put them together, and they come together so easily, so intuitively, when you put these pieces together, you will be presented with the truth of January 15, 2020. And that will be a picture showing each and every one of you who committed this crime. And what will be staring back at you will be the crystal clear pictures of Hakeem Robinson and Leroy Whitaker, just as clear as if you were to turn your gaze over there at this very moment. One of the key pieces of evidence that exists, as I have said, is the video recording exists because Victor Kruger, a citizen, has nothing to do with this, just happened to have a dash cam in his truck and just happened to be parked at the right place at the right time. That video is completely independent, wholly unbiased, and incapable of lying. It just captured what happened in high definition for each and every one of you to see. And so, when you watch that video, I want you to trust your eyes. Because again, it's not a single photo. It is a video that shows in detail as Hakeem Robinson, who is the shooter in this case, tracked Charles McCormick down on foot and executed him. Now, that video essentially it's going to be a time machine, transporting each and every one of you individually and collectively back 5 years. That's how long ago this was. 5 years.
Assistant State Attorney Jewel Cooper argued that McCormick's affiliation with local rap groups made him Robinson target. Jewel, the state attorney, said one of the traditions of both groups is producing rap music, drill rap, diss songs that make fun of their ops. Cooper said Charles McCormick became a very easy target. This was about sending a message. This was about respect and not letting our ops disrespect our deceased friends and family. Check it out.
Why the crime took place and the significance of the day, you have to know what happened exactly 1 year prior, on January 15th, 2019. On January 15th, 2019, Willie Addison, whose rap name is Boss Coon, was in a vehicle with family when shots rang out. Willie Addison was struck and ultimately died as a result of his injuries. But he wasn't the only one in the vehicle. Also inside the vehicle on January 15, 2019, Abdul Robinson Sr., Hakeem's father. Because you see, Willie Addison was Abdul Robinson Sr.'s stepson. He raised him as his own son. Willie Addison, Hakeem Robinson's brother. Also in that vehicle, Abdul Robinson Jr., Hakeem's other brother, Leroy Whitaker's cousin. And Abdul Robinson Jr. was struck in the head. He survived, but he suffered lasting effects that would prevent him from running down his target a year later. Physical limitations that Hakeem Robinson and Leroy Whitaker did not share. Also in the vehicle, Torgon Williams, their cousin, and a couple of others. And while it is true that neither Hakeem Robinson, Leroy Whitaker, or Dominic Barner were in the car when those shots rang out on January 15, 2019, it doesn't matter. Because it was still their family in that car. It was their family whose blood was spilled. Physical injuries sometimes can heal. Physical pain can diminish. But memories, a vendetta, that lasts someone's lifetime. Now I want to be very, very clear. Charles McCormick was not involved in the shooting of Willie Addison or anyone else in that vehicle. He wasn't involved. Charles McCormick's sin, what made him a target, was that he was affiliated with people who are part of another local rap group, 6 Block. And 6 Block and ATK are rivals. They don't like each other. They hate each other. And one of the traditions of songs that make fun of or talk disrespectfully about members of their ops, the other group who have been shot. So following that tradition, Charles McCormick in 2019 put out a song, and that song referenced the shooting of Willie Addison. And as you can imagine, that is not something that either Hakeem Robinson, Leroy Whitaker, or their family were happy about. So Charles McCormick became a target, an easy target. He's the opposite. This was about sending a message. Because not only was it personal, but it's about respect. And we aren't going to let our ops sing songs like that, not about our family. That is why Charles McCormick was targeted. So on January 15, 2020, 1 year anniversary, Willie Addison's death, Charles McCormick walked out of his apartment on Atlantic Boulevard, made his way to his car, and then drove to Express Employment, a temp agency located on the Merrill Road shopping plaza. And he went there because he had just been selected for a new job. Charles McCormick needed to get the details to start that new job. But when he drove there, he had no idea that in a Nissan Altima, he was being stalked by Hakeem Robinson, Leroy Whitaker, and their good friend Dominique Barner, who was driving both of them, pursuing Charles McCormick from his apartment complex all the way up to the Merrill Road shopping plaza. And they pulled in, and they saw that Charles McCormick parked his car and had walked into Express Employment. But what did they do? They waited. Hakeem Robinson with his X-Star model rifle, Leroy Whitaker with his AR-15 rifle, both loaded, rounds chambered, ready to fire. Because the plan at that point was when Charles McCormick walks out, Hakeem Robinson, Leroy Whitaker will jump out of that stolen Nissan Altima, their rifles, and gun him down. And Dominique Barner, their friend, will pick them up and drive them out of there. But they had to wait. And they had to wait. And as they waited, Dominique Barner decided it was better to reposition their vehicle. And so he was actually able to drive over to where Charles McCormick parked and pulled into a parking space behind Charles McCormick's car and just over to the left. And that is where they waited. And then, just around 11 a.m. that morning, a Wednesday morning, Charles McCormick finished inside. He got a red folder with the paperwork and the details so he could start his new job. And with that red folder in his hand, he said his goodbyes. Miss Saunders, who owned that agency at the time, was a friend of his grandmother. Said goodbye to her and opened the door and began to walk outside. When Charles McCormick did that, all he had in his hand was that red folder. And that red folder represented the promise of employment and the hope of a future filled with false hope. He began to take his fateful steps towards the parking lot, not knowing who and what was waiting for him. So, for a few seconds, the bright light of the morning sun warmed his skin, saturated his eyes, and fresh air filled his optimistic lungs. For a few seconds, Charles had no idea he would never get to start that new job. There would be no more birthdays to celebrate. He wouldn't see or talk to his mother again. He had no idea there were seconds left to believe in a tomorrow. Seconds left in his young life. And then, in an instant, that all changed. Because Hakeem Robinson got excited and jumped out of that Nissan Altima early. He didn't wait for Charles McCormick to make it back to his car, where he was going to then hop out and shoot him so he could easily drive away. Couldn't wait, he got too excited. So he hopped out early and chased Charles McCormick down on foot.
Hey, that was a lot, man. Y'all get in the comments and let me know. Did the state attorney do a great job painting a picture to the jury that Ksoo and ATK is guilty? And if y'all haven't already, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. I will be giving y'all updates on this case daily. Next up, we have Leroy Whitaker, aka ATK Scotty. His defense team argument was straight to the point, and they told the jury that the evidence will prove that her client is innocent and that the state star witness, who was also there at the time of the murder, is the only suspect that can be identified. And that's Dominique Bonner. And he's cooperating and lying on her client to get his time cut. She also spoke on Ksoo's dad and said he too is a well-known snitch. And both have learned the system and know what to say to the state to get their time cut. Check it out.
Leroy Whitaker did not pull that trigger. Leroy Whitaker had nothing to do with the death of Charles McCormick. That's what the evidence will show. You're gonna watch a video of Charles McCormick being chased down and shot. The shooter, the lone gunman in that video is not Leroy Whitaker. So how are we here? Why are we here? In this room, everything changes. See, before we come into this room, the state of Florida has the absolute power, the choice, the prerogative to charge or not charge whoever they want. But once we come in here to our Hall of Justice, they must prove their allegations. They must prove their allegations with actual, credible evidence. And I urge you to write right now in the notebooks that were provided to you a little topic I suggest to you. Evidence of Leroy Whitaker's participation in this murder. And ladies and gentlemen, there's going to be one thing and only one thing at the very end of all the testimony, everything that you're going to be presented. It's going to be one name only, Dominique Bonner. That's it. That is it. The state star witness of which their house of cards in their allegations against Mr. Whitaker will collapse. Dominique Bonner, an admitted two-time killer, paid for, self-proclaimed, paid for assassin. Dominique Bonner will waltz into this courtroom and he will try to fill the blatant holes in the state's case. Their star witness will explain to you, well, you know, on January 15th, the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office hauls me in. See, I don't just have tattoos on my arms. I have 1993 strapped right on my arm. Pretty distinctive. Barbara Buckley did describe that in detail. And so the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office was able to put together a photo spread within hours of Barbara Buckley's home being invaded by Dominique Bonner. And lo and behold, She was, in no uncertain terms. You're gonna meet her. She's gonna tell you all. Dominic Barner sure scared me. Dominic Barner came into my home. Dominic Barner choked me out. Dominic Barner got me to the point where I just kind of finally faked passing out and sat on my couch and then ultimately smoked a cigarette. Dominic Barner was caught. And to hear the state of Florida talk about Dominic Barner, one might think, one might assume, Dominic Barner must have walked in on January 15th and said, oh, I need to tell all my sins. Oh, I need to confess. That's not what the evidence is going to show. What you're going to learn is that Dominic Barner came in on January 15th and he told just enough about himself to get him off his case. To let him go. He's still in jail, but he's not charged with murder yet. But then you're going to hear, as the murders pile up, see, there's this pesky second murder that you'll hear Dominic Barner was in part of, has admitted to premeditating, has admitted to pleading to that charge of a whole separate case where a truly innocent bystander gets killed. Because unfortunately, Dominic Barner misses who he was really gunning for. Interestingly enough, you will ultimately hear Abdul Robinson Sr., also part of that murder, also pled to that separate murder. But as those charges started piling up, Dominic Barner realized, I need to do what I do. I'll cooperate. See, by the time that Leroy Whitaker and Dominic Barner started spending any time together, Dominic Barner had already gotten his first cooperation against somebody completely different out of the way. Because that's what he does. Abdul Robinson Sr., same thing. Abdul Robinson Sr. has been cooperating since before Leroy Whitaker was born. That's what the evidence will show. But Dominic Barner will be the one and only piece of evidence the state will even attempt to convince you that Leroy Whitaker had any part in the death of Charles McCormick. The evidence will not be there. You're going to hear from Barbara Buckley, and I'll tell you up front, I think you'll like her. She's feisty. No one pulls anything over her eyes. And she's going to walk in and she's going to honestly talk to you about that morning. How it was just a normal morning. How she sees two people in her house and she says in very colorful language, get out of my house. Dominic Barner didn't accept that and then was violent with her. And because of that, she was able in no uncertain terms, with confidence, with 1993 emblazoned on his arm, she picks him out. Dominic Barner did that. The second person, the other person in her home, she can't identify. What will the state try to rely on? Dominic Barner. Dominic Barner and Abdul Robinson Sr. have learned the system. They've learned what to say and how to say it. I urge you, listen carefully as they describe their cooperation agreements. For the two murders that Dominic Barner will tell you in no uncertain terms that he thought about, that he wanted to happen, he put into action, and did commit the murder for two human beings being gone. What does he look forward to? Well, he has every hope and expectation of walking amongst us again in 20 short years. No mandatory life imprisonment for Dominic Barner. Dominic Barner, by singing the company line, can can look forward to 20 years. That's the state evidence.
Now, y'all know I had to save the best for last. Ksoo lawyer is going viral all over social media, and all I see is let her cook. She debunked everything that the state said, and when I say it made sense, it made sense. And I'm pretty sure she won the jury over today. But I want to see what y'all think.
And I, along with Christopher DeCos, we have the honor and privilege of representing Hakeem Robinson. Now, the government just got up here and told you that they're going to prove to you, beyond and to the exclusion of all reasonable doubt, that Hakeem Robinson is the person who shot and killed Charles McCormick on January 15th of 2020. For members of the jury, they are not going to be able to do that because Hakeem Robinson is innocent. And you are going to be able to see that for yourselves, that there is no way that Hakeem Robinson is the person that shot and killed Charles McCormick. In order to try and prove their case, they're going to ask you to do something that I've never seen before. They're going to ask you to not believe your eyes. They're going to ask you to ignore what you see right in front of you. Because as the government just told you, there is a video recording of this homicide. And you're going to be able to see it, and you're going to be able to watch it. You are going to see a person, someone, covered from head, or whatever's on top of his head, to toe. Completely covered. Chase down Charles McCormick in broad daylight and shoot him to death. And this was done in front of a bunch of witnesses. And the most important question in this case is going to be, who is the shooter? Who is the shooter? Members of the jury, that is the shooter. That is a still shot from the video that you will get. You will be presented with this during the course of this trial. And what these prosecutors are going to ask you to do is to find that Hakeem Robinson, who's clearly well above 6 feet tall and a heavy set person, and was like that 5 years ago, is that person. And it's not just that. They are going to ask you to ignore the descriptions given by each and every person that saw the shooter live. And members of the jury, these witnesses, each and every one of them are going to give you a description somewhere between 5'5" and 5'11". The other description they're going to give you, each of these witnesses that saw this person: slim, slender, thinner. And all those witnesses, they're going to ask you, the government, these unbiased civilian witnesses, discredit them. Don't believe them. They were wrong. The witnesses that they're going to ask you to believe are the ones who are actually involved in this murder. That's right. One by one, they are going to be walking them in here, some of them through that back door. Each one of them, hoping and praying to get some benefit from them. The people that hold all of the power to charge someone, to arrest someone, to drop charges. Then, all of these people are going to point the finger and go, the shooter is Hakeem. They are not going to present you one piece of reliable, direct evidence that definitively proves that Hakeem Robinson is a shooter. It's just going to be based on the lies of the people who actually committed this murder.
Let him cook! I said, let him cook!
Like Johnny Cochran said in the OJ case, if the glove don't fit, you must acquit. Come on now, she cooking. She is cooking. We got to make it make sense. Video footage and all the witness described a skinny, short guy as the shooter. We know that Ksoo is damn near 6 foot, 200 and some pounds. It's no way that picture right there of the shooter could be Ksoo. It's no way. Y'all get in the comments and let me know. Do y'all think that picture right there is Ksoo?
This, members of the jury, is Hakeem Robinson. Stand up, Hakeem. He is a young, aspiring, talented musician who 5 years ago was wrenched from his family, his life, and his promising career. All because the government refused to look at literally what is right in front of them. And this is why I've asked Hakeem Robinson to stand up in front of you right now, members of the jury. Because you may not have taken too much notice over the past 3 days. Each and every time you walked into the courtroom and you left and we stood up, you didn't realize at that time how important it was to take a look at how tall Hakeem Robinson is and how big he is. But it is going to be the focal point of this trial. Because once you watch that video in the entirety, and then you look at what is standing right in front of you, and you're going to get pictures and stuff around the time that this took place. He hasn't changed, despite what Mr. Cooper is telling you. He is the same. There will be no doubt in your mind that he is not the person that shot and killed Charles McCormick. So how do we get here? You can have a seat, Hakeem. How do we get here where a clearly innocent person is being accused of a crime that he did not commit? And it boils down to perception versus reality. Because you're going to see that Hakeem Robinson, he wasn't arrested until 9 months after the murder. And none of them realized how big he is until he was arrested. But by that time, instead of admitting to the mistake that they made and pulling back and doing an investigation to find out who really did it, they doubled down. And they started to build their case and their witnesses around the idea and the belief that it was Hakeem Robinson that was the shooter. Now, 5 years ago, January 15th, 2020, right on the brink of the world shutting down, right before the COVID-19 virus, Charles McCormick woke up in the morning, headed to Employment Express Agency on Merrill Road to follow up with getting a job. Little did he know that a man named Dominique Barnum, and I'm going to say this name for the first time, I'm not sure why the state didn't mention this to you, and his friend Chris Brown had been stalking Charles McCormick that day. Dominique Barnum is the one who was checking his Instagram account to see if he was in town that day. Dominique Barnum is the one who pulled up his address on the court clerk's website to find out where he lived. He is the one that then tried to track him down and kill him that morning. You will hear that the reason Dominique Barnum decided that he wanted to have Charles McCormick killed was all because of a song that he didn't like the lyrics to. The whole story that Mr. Cooper failed to mention to you, members of the jury, is that Mr. Barnum will just tell you, I just didn't like that he was singing something he didn't know about. That's the reason why Charles McCormick is dead. And this man, members of the jury, Dominique Barnum, the man who planned and orchestrated the murder of Charles McCormick, is going to be the government's star witness in this case.
Hey man, y'all get in the comments and let me know what y'all think about what y'all just heard today. Like I said, I will be covering this every day, so make sure y'all like the video and subscribe to the channel, man. But let me know, day one, who you think won? The state or the defense? Is Ksoo and ATK Scotty coming home? Or is it for him? Like, comment, subscribe, turn on all post notifications. It's free. Do it for me.
Promo alert, promo alert, promo alert. Today is your boy Big Cliff. He just dropped the album called The Flop Tape. And when I tell you he the biggest Cliff you know, he a dog. He got tracks like Juggin' and Finesse for the Trappers. And another track called Hard Out Here. Big Cliff singing it all. From niggas hitting licks to bees sucking D. Make sure y'all subscribe to his YouTube channel. The link will be down in the description. Hey, look, y'all don't want to miss out. He got a little bit of something for everybody on this one right here, man. This one here, I ain't gonna lie, I think it's a banger, gang.
I'm jugging and finessing, I'm jugging and finessing, I'm jugging and finessing. You know I gotta make the measures. I'm jugging, I'm finessing all the lows. Fuck them shows, I'm on the road, in and on with them lows. I'm Big Cliff, bitch. I'm home. Where the fuck is my throne? I'm jugging and finessing, I'm jugging and finessing.
Hey, do me a favor. Look down right there to the bottom left and hit that like button for me. Hit that like button right there. I appreciate it. Now continue watching.
Promo alert if you need promo. DM me on Instagram at music101CEO. $30 for one promo video on my YouTube. $50 for 3 promo videos on my YouTube, $70 for 6 promo videos on my YouTube, and $130 for 12 promo videos on my YouTube channel. Make sure y'all tap in and get that promo if you want to win.
Charleston White, Brick Baby, against Cannon, and the ultimate
Step, I'm the leader of this 8 shit.